One of the major issues that's killed over, every year kills over 600,000 people is malaria. And it's important that we combat this particular disease that is ravaging the length and breadth of Africa majorly. And joining me this morning to take a look at it, especially with the new introduction of a new vaccine, talking about R21. As we have with me in the studio Hope Opoko, who she is also joining us this morning, the program officer, advocacy communication and social mobilization, National Malaria Elimination Program. It's a pleasure to have you this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
And I also have Chukwu Okoronko, who is also the director and head surveillance, monitoring, evaluation, and operation research, National Malaria Elimination Program. It's a pleasure to have you this morning.
Good to have me here. Thank you very much.
Let's hit the ground running because we don't have much time on our hands. Malaria every year kills over 600,000 people. But it seems we keep taking it with levity. We don't attach serious importance to it. Let's start from the issue of vaccine. Before Nigeria, Ghana was able to beat Nigeria to it to adopt the vaccine. Why was there delay before we see the importance of taking the vaccine before adopting the vaccine? Let me start with you.
Okay, the issue of vaccine is something that has just been approved by the World Health Organization, and Nigeria is about to key into it, and that, as it has been discussed, it's going to be from 2024 that it will be effective in Nigeria. So the issue is on ground, and then the director for MIE can talk more on that.
Okay, let's get more from
Yes, let me chip in. There are two types of vaccine.
Yeah.
There's the RTSS vaccine, and then there's the R21 vaccine, which you just mentioned. The last one, which is by Oxford.
Yeah.
That's still in the trial stage, as you know, and it has not been approved by WHO. But we have one that has been approved by WHO, which is the RTSS vaccine, and we have applied for that. And it is going to roll out, as she has said, in 2024, and we're going to see that happening. But I want to always sound a note of caution when we talk about vaccine. People think malaria vaccine is going to be like the COVID vaccine for everyone. No, it's principally going to be for children, and especially for those who are 3 years and on. That's like the R21 is specifically for those who are 5 months to 36 months. And so we need to have that also at the background. It's a good development. It's going to be something that is going to do a whole lot of, make a lot of changes, and addressing one of the most critical population groups that are at risk. But I want us to have that at the back of our mind, that is a complementary tool.
A complementary tool, because when you say we also must be careful, remember what happened during the COVID era. It took a lot of time before African countries could embrace it. Are we not having that same kind of pessimism towards this vaccine?
I don't think so. In fact, when we go out, a lot of people ask us, what about the vaccine? Thinking that the vaccine is going to be for everybody, and not necessarily for children alone. Yeah. So we have that kind of enthusiasm because people understand malaria and they want to be free from malaria, even though they also look at it as being common, which comes back to your first sentence.
Yeah, and now let's talk about, there was a vaccine before this that was not widely accepted. Sarah reports that the vaccine was can only perform up to 60%. What is the difference between that vaccine that we're so sure of and this new vaccine? That one was done by GSK. This new vaccine that was coming, what is the difference? Have we taken a critical look? Why should we see the viability of this new vaccine, the R21, ahead of the other one?
Both vaccines will be deployed, I can tell you that. Okay. The most important thing is the production, ability to satisfy the countries that need them. Yes, there might be some differences in terms of efficacy, and you have one 60 about 60%, the other one about 75%, at least based on reports that we are getting. We've not seen the full dose yet, so based on that, we think that is it. But the most important thing is making them available at the time the countries need them. Nigeria alone will account for, we account for the hugest population of the malaria at-risk population. So we will need a whole lot. For now, the RTS vaccine, what we are getting is only about 100,000 doses. That's not sufficient even for a local government.
So how do you make it possible? Because you need funds to be able to make this happen. One of the challenges we had initially at the COVID vaccine, because there wasn't much support, it was difficult for the African nations to get it. Before later, there was support from international bodies to make it available. Now, the same thing is going to happen with malaria vaccine. How do we ensure that the government play a huge part in ensuring that, and every Nigerian, especially the kids, because we talked about the kids here, can be able to access this vaccine?
There are two aspects. One, of course, is the government funding, and the other aspect is also international support. There is a Gavi, I'm sure you are aware of that, and incidentally, it's a Nigerian that is heading that. And now, so they have already made a promise, some form of commitment, that they are willing to support vaccine procurement for Nigeria. Now, another aspect is the issue of the logistics for distribution within the country, issues about cold chain, and I think also MPCD is on top of that, the MPSCDA, they're on top of that situation, and we've collaborated a lot with them, and they are willing to make sure that everything is optimal as far as distribution is concerned. We're also trying to mobilize domestic resources. We have what we call the Nigerian End Malaria Council. That's made up of, it's being chaired by Dangote, and it's made up of quite eminent partners, yes, both in the private as well as the public sectors. We hope we'll be able to reach them. They will be able to reach out to government to mobilize support, and also to the private sector. Some of these issues you are raising, particularly for the vaccine, in fact, there was one particular person who has made a commitment before now to say that he is ready. I don't want to mention the name in case he wants to engage on that promise. He's ready to support vaccine production and distribution in this country. So those are people who will be targeting and will be following up with.
In the light of this is a happy thing, getting vaccine that can be able to take. Okay, because I'm going to. It's good. The question will come in two sides. This vaccine, once taken, does it guarantee you safety from having malaria again?
Yes, it does have a protective effect, which, as we say, 60-75% depending on the vaccine you are taking. So the question, as I've said to you earlier on, for the second one, which is R21 vaccine, we don't have the full dose here yet, so we can't speak to that. But what we know is that it does have some protective effect. Both vaccines, just like COVID. What happens? It doesn't stop you from really getting COVID.
Exactly. Because people need to understand that. Because there are some people, because off camera before I came into the studio, some people were saying, once you take that vaccine, you can't have malaria again. So people also need to understand that it doesn't stop you from having malaria, but it may reduce the effect or the impact of malaria.
It does reduce the episodes, most likely, of the malaria that you're likely to have. It does reduce the severity. It does obviously reduce the fact that you may not have to die. I mean, especially for this critical group, they may be protected. So issues about morbidity and mortality of the disease is drastically reduced with the vaccine.
Okay, but the infants and kids, what happens to the adults? Is there no way to be able to get this vaccine available for them? So also, why are we not thinking about that?
No, there are other interventions. Let's not focus on vaccine. There are other interventions which have proved to be very, very impactful. And targeting both children under 5, we distribute some preventive medicines for children under 5, where the rainfall is about 4 months, and we call it seasonal malaria chemo prevention, and we do that in about 23 states. But there are other interventions, issues about standard interventions that we already have. Maybe you want to say a little bit about those standard interventions, if you do not mind, because I think also that's part of their job, to create awareness about some of these standard interventions. What we need is uptake of these interventions to be able to make sure that we reduce the body of malaria. You might want to speak on that.
Yes, there are interventions like the use of insecticide-treated nets, which it has been proven to be effective in prevention of malaria, that when one sleeps inside the net every night, the person is protected from mosquito that spread malaria. So the nets are available. They are being distributed by the governments, but in a situation that it has not been distributed free of charge in a state, people can buy. They are in the pharmacies, they are in the stores, they are in supermarkets where people can get this net and sleep inside every night and be protected from mosquito that spread malaria. And it is also our duty to keep our environment clean by reducing the breeding size of mosquito. Anything that can hold water around the home should be removed, because mosquitoes breed in stagnant water. And these mosquitoes can breed in any water that is stagnant, whether clean water or dirty water. But the mosquito that spread malaria, the female Anopheles mosquito that spread malaria, likes clean water. That's why we tell people, even if you are storing water in the home, that water should be covered. Because if that water is left for a period of time without being moved, mosquitoes are bound to breed there. Even toilets that are left open the toilet seat that has water inside. If you leave it for some time, when you come back, when you touch it, you see that mosquitoes are coming out. It becomes a breeding site for mosquito. So people should learn to keep their environment clean, remove anything that can hold water, clear the bushes around, clear the gutters around, clear even flowers, anything that can hold water. That helps to reduce the breeding size of mosquito. And there are other interventions which have not been scaled up. The use of insecticide nets has been scaled up in Nigeria, that it has gone around, free distribution has gone around the 36 states, including FCT. The ones that have not been scaled up is what we call indoor residual spraying. It has been tested and it's also effective, where the four walls of a house is being sprayed with approved insecticide. And we also have the larval source management, the LSM, which, of course, this keeping environment clean is one of the things that is attacking the mosquito at the larval stage. All these are interventions that are put together to prevent malaria. And then for the women that are, as he said, for the children that are under 5 years of age, through the SMC, that is seasonal chemo prevention for malaria, for these children, they are given protective medicine that will prevent this malaria. And then women, as they register for antenatal, pregnant women, if they go for antenatal, they give them what we call SP, sulfadoxine pyrimethamine, that will protect them from malaria throughout their pregnancy. So that is done for people.
These are some of the measures that have been provided to ensure that we're able to combat malaria. I wish time was really on our hands, because there are still so many questions I will definitely, hopefully we can have you another time and still be able to talk about it, because we just have to wrap up right there. And our Benin Network studio is also waiting. I must say big thank you to Mr. Chukwu Okoronko for joining us this morning. Also Hope Oboko also for joining us this morning.
Thank you.